there, I'm Amy.Connell. Welcome to Graced Health, the podcast for women who want simple and grace-filled ways to take care of themselves and enjoy a little chocolate. I'm a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach who wants you to know your eating, movement, and body don't have to be perfect. You just need to be able to do what you're called to do. This is another episode of Ask the Trainer, where I answer questions you may have about your eating, movement, or how they work together in just a few minutes. And today might actually be the shortest Ask the Trainer there is. And that's because this is one of my greatest tips I can offer, particularly moms who are struggling for their children to consume protein. Now, I know protein is confusing sometimes, and all we hear about is eat the protein, eat the protein. In fact, I remember growing up not liking something that my mom made. I don't even remember what it was. And I remember her saying, just eat the protein out of it. And I understand that. And she wasn't wrong, right? Like protein provides satiety. Protein helps repair our muscles. It has a lot of really great qualities, and it can be hard for kids to consume enough protein sometimes, and quality protein at that. I have a friend who was struggling with one of her children getting enough protein, and he's an active athlete. And she was just saying how hard this was. And I said, well, talk about, what are you eating and what kind of foods are you making at dinner? They eat a lot of chicken. Chicken's great, right? Like it has a lot of protein. It is from the earth. It's not processed if you're just eating a piece of chicken. And I said, well, what kind of chicken do you make? And she said, well, I typically do chicken breasts. Now, if you're like me and you grew up in the 90s or grew up in the 80s, but really started becoming aware of things in the 90s in terms of health perspective, you probably heard, eat a chicken breast because it's the leanest, which is true. It doesn't have as much fat on it. And it's a wonderful selection if you are, just aware of what kind of fat you're having. I do not promote a low-fat diet. In fact, it took me years to retrain my brain to realize how good healthy fats are. What I have started doing, and this is the biggest hack that I can offer anyone, is instead of chicken breasts, try chicken thighs. The caveat to this is you will want to trim it up. They look really nice and neat when they're packaged up at the grocery store, and they tend to show all of the real meat portion, the muscle portion, which is what that is, and they'll wrap it around, and then you'll get it home and open it up and you're like, ew, this kind of has a lot of fat on it. But I will just take a second and trim off most of that fat. Dark meat chicken has a lot of iron and zinc in it. It also contains twice as much healthy unsaturated fat as light meat chicken. Although it does also contain twice as much saturated fat. So, trim that off if you're concerned about that. But the deal is, practically speaking, it's more moist. I tend to find I have more forgiveness with it when I grill it rather than white meat chicken or chicken breast. Boy, I tell you what, when I am grilling those, you have to be really, really careful not to overcook it or it's super chewy. Maybe you haven't done that before, but I have done it plenty of times. But that dark meat chicken just cooks so nicely and so juicy. And that's pretty much all I make anymore. Now, I'm hoping that my community who live actually in my community do not go and take all of my dark meat chicken. Leave some thighs for me, the boneless, skinless thighs. Leave a couple packages for me because I inevitably buy a package or so a week. But that is my trick. If you have people in your house who do eat meat but don't love it, give dark meat chicken, get the boneless, skinless thighs, give it a shot because it may be that they just need to try something different. And then, of course, if you listened to the last episode of How to Be Kind to Your Future Healthy Self, if you're grilling some of those dark meat chicken thighs, grill extra and then freeze them individually. And then, ta-da, lunch is ready. All you have to do is pull out a thigh that is already cooked and it is ready for you. So if you haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to it. But That's all I have. Go grab some chicken thighs and leave one for me if you live in my community. Okay, that is all for today. Go out there and have a graced day.